Well guys, hello everyone, welcome to another video from myself, Fraser, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here we are, we're going to be doing a wee flight to celebrate Jetstar flying flights to Christchurch. I was going to say Hamilton getting its first jet aircraft operating out of its airport domestically, but they used to get 737-200 flights by Air New Zealand from Wellington to Hamilton, and Air New Zealand have just pipped Jetstar to the post a week or so earlier, offering flights to with the Airbuses between Hamilton and Christchurch, which we will do a flight, but yeah, thought I'd start off with doing a flight with Jetstar. I don't think I've flown Jetstar on Flight Simulator at all, so this will be the first time, and it's been the first time since I've flown into Hamilton on my channel. I've done it a couple of times, but yeah, this will be one of the first flights in many aspects. So yeah, we're going to be taking this aircraft, just this Jetstar aircraft, up to Hamilton, replicating their flight, which I'll actually sort of replicate it even more by doing the how do I change it? I'm going to probably have to go the other way. Replicate leaving at around 8 o'clock, flying up to Hamilton, then we'll do the return leg. So yeah, we'll get into it. Let's power up this aircraft and get it ready for our takeoff. And as you guys know by now, these Airbuses are very easy to operate. We just come up here, we first turn on the batteries, wait for a few lights to come on, and then we can now turn on the external power. And as you guys know, I like to have my lights nice and bright, so I'll brighten these up, and like to get rid of the these things here. They just get in the way of the old armrests. And we can now go ahead and turn on the APU. So we have the APU bleed on anyway, but I don't think you do it in real life before you turn on the APU, but this is not real life, and we're going to turn on the APU now, turn on the oxygen, turn on the landing lights, and now we'll go through, we'll definitely align these things, and we'll just go through and get our flight set up. So we'll come into our Phoenix, we'll tap import our Simbury flight plan, and we'll get this page ready here, our actual flight plan page, and we'll go into, click on here, just make sure this is all legit, everything's all up to date, which it is, and then we'll go to the init page, and then we'll bring up our flight plan, and we'll just get our cost index and our altitude, so 37,000 feet. I'm just going to check what the actual Jetstar flight did, because I think 37,000 feet might be slightly excessive for what is, in retrospect, a very short flight. Let's see, I'm just on flight radar at the moment. Oh, they actually went up to 39,000 feet, so yeah, maybe it's legit. Right, this is why I had this page up, for pure efficiency, so I know what fields don't get copied over. So it's going to be our flight number, which is our real flight number today, which is not often I use a real flight number, so JST 272, and our cost index is 6 and 37, so we'll go up to 39,000 feet. So 6 and 39. Actually, we'll go 37 and see, just in case our aircraft is configured differently. And JST 272. Just double check that. Doesn't really, it's not a critical component, but yeah, we'll enter that in, and we will now start SimBrief flight, import that, and now we can go ahead and add our load to the aircraft. So we get a mass imbalance, just click load and load. I do instant dismiss, send to MCDU, which is populated itself up there. That's the jetway disengaging. Just see if we can enter in our winds here. So we've got a headwind of -32. See if this accepts it. Sweet, it does. Clear, just clearing these. And then we'll go to our performance page. We can now enter in, actually, before we do our performance page, we need to get the runway that we're taking off from, so I'll do that. Which gives me time to actually do the performance. And it's really annoying. I don't know why they give me these radio. So runway, we're taking off from on runway 20. So we're going to change that. Change it to runway 20. Which is giving us a tailwind. That's really odd, but we'll go with it because I think all the aircraft will be taking off from that runway, and we don't want to be flying into the aircraft. And as you can see there's the old Air New Zealand livery, the old blue background. Right, let's get into this. So I'm going to change it, and what's our departure going to be? I'm going to go with this one here because it's already connected to a flight, the current flight plan, and it's a nice wee circle on out of Christchurch, so I'll go with that. So Christchurch, we're going to be flying out from runway 20 according to FS HUD. And we're going to be using this departure here and connecting up to Glen. Can now insert that like so. And our expected, I'm just going to change our departure settings. And our expected arrival is going to be runway 36. I think we'll just double check here. RNAV 36. So we'll go ahead and enter in our arrival. So arrival RNAV 36. I'll go for RNAV 36Z because I believe that's the RMP approach. So I'll go with that one. And our star is going to can just make it out. That's Bieber 1B. And our transition, I'm assuming, is going to be Dubuck, so I'll go for Dubuck. Insert. So that's our flight plan all loaded up. And we're just going to now go ahead and enter and send this to See, all the aircraft are using runway 20, so we'll do what the others are doing. Oh, and I push the magic B button to sync up my altimeters. Calculator, and then just send it all over to the MCDU, so that will bring up all of our performance details. So we're going to be using flaps 2, set our trim to down 0.3. We'll quickly scroll this up to 37,000 feet, and we'll now request taxi clearance. We'll turn on our constraints, and we'll turn on our terrain radar, which for some reason, that's right, so we'll just speed up the RLS alignments. I'll just click on these just to hurry them along. And now we can turn on our terrain radar like so. Sweet, we're basically ready to push back and start, folks. So we'll go ahead and turn on our beacon light, call up our... Before we do that, we'll disconnect our ground power, better turn on the fuel pumps, turn on the passenger seatbelt signs. As a little Q300 basically does a power off taxi in. Ultimately the ultimate way of saving fuel, isn't it? So where we're going from here, we've got to go into our ground services page and just disconnect these. Alright, let's start our pushback. Alright, and we'll now go ahead and start up our engines, eh? Don't you dare, don't you dare. I'm just going to turn away and just pretend we didn't see anything. And we'll start our engine number 2 first. Oh wow, that's been told to hold position, which is brilliant. And we're just going to stop there and get our other engines all powered up. Right, now engine number 1 can now start up. While that's doing its thing, we'll deploy our flaps. We'll go to our flight control page and set down 0.3. Over here we'll just check our controls. We'll do at least one thing that real life pilots will do. Why not? Right, I'm happy with that. I'm just going to check my departure, see if there's any speed constraints. Which there is. So I'll just go into this next page here and we'll just enter in 210. Just to hold our speed. Alright, we'll just clear. We'll clear these messengers and we can now release the parking brake, put some speed up. We'll do all of our checks that we know that we have to do. We'll turn on the taxi light, turn off light, we'll turn off the APU now. We will arm the spoilers, turn on our transponder to TARA, and we will transponder is on. Oh, that's right, that's what I was going to do, is I'm going to tell the cabin that we're basically almost ready to take off, and we'll test our takeoff config. We'll turn on our weather radar too, and we'll just now head on out to our departure. We're going to mess up ATC a bit and use this taxiway here. It's one thing about FSHUD, I wish you could have the option to request the transition for the runway, because in real life the Airbuses, the domestic flights, they usually just use this entry here onto the runway. Alright, we're just going to go for it, guys. We're going to turn on our strobe lights, our landing lights, just like that, folks. With a little bit of magic, I just showed you guys how to get this aircraft around with the least amount of effort. Right, we'll spool up the engines, then we'll go to climb and then flex takeoff, and away we go. Listen to that roar. I love the old Phoenix aircraft, they're really good. And we are going to now rotate. Landing gear can now come up, and we'll go outside and enjoy the nice view of this takeoff. And we'll start our turn, shall we? Doing a little bit of manual flying here. Right, I'm going to go into autopilot mode, and we can now go through. We'll go flaps 1 now. Oh, I forgot to switch that to normal mode. We'll disarm our speed brakes. Now going to climb mode now. The flaps can now come up. And now we're just going to well, that's good, I didn't have to cancel my flight plan, it's just picked up where we've left off. Literally where we left off. This is really nice. I do like Active Sky. It does add a bit of detail into the way the weather's portrayed. Actually, we can now turn on the weather radar, right? Let's turn on the weather radar. See if there's any weather around. As we'll now, very quick, we'll start breaking through that cloud into the blue sky above. It was actually given us direct to Glen, so we'll just go to flight plan. Alright, because we got given direct to Glen, we're just going to scroll the speed straight up to 250. And then we're just going to manage mode, make life easier on us. And maybe we should turn on the engine and wing anti-ice just as we're going through this cloud and it's pretty cold out there. We can now release the crew to do their usual jazz. Oh, what's happening here? Now that is definitely a bug somewhere. That looks really interesting, eh? What is going on? And it looks like I might have an error with something. It's a bit of a shame. Oh, it seems to have fixed itself. Right, we'll turn off our landing lights now. We'll go into standard mode. And thankfully it's fixed itself. Right, landing lights are off. We can now turn off our wind anti-ice as we brake above this low cloud. And I'm just going to see what my progress page to see what the optimum flight altitude is going to be 35,000 feet, but that should change when we get closer. As you see, there's very little gap between our top of climb and top of descent, but the powers to be must do the crunch the numbers and figure out that there is some significant cost saving in going up to this altitude. But yeah, I think that's all that there is to do for this part of the flight. As you know, flights are the real exciting parts is the takeoff and the landings. So, and for those who are learning, it's punching in, getting this all set up. But apart from that, we can now just go outside and enjoy this beautiful cloudy day. We'll get back to you when we come to the landing part. Right folks, welcome back. We've been given our clearance to start our descent, so we're in our arrival. So we've already entered in our arrival when we left the airport at Christchurch, so we're going to scroll down to 9,000, we'll make it 8,000 feet. I'm going to add a bit of sim rate, and I guess we set our standards, our altimeters, so 4, and we'll set 4 for this one. And I guess we can start planning our descent very, very soon. Just wait for it just to... Actually, we can just start it now. I will start our descent now. And we should enter in what data we do have. Yeah, so New Zealand, for some weird reason, I think it's some Met service thing, they only allow global access to a few data stations, so you're just going to have to find like find it from somewhere. When you get close to the airport, you can bring up the ATIS and load the data in like so when you get it straight off the ATIS page, or I can use Active Sky. I believe Active Sky has data for Hamilton Airport, has data for the individual airports, so I'm just going to have a look, see if I can bring it up, which I have for now, so I'll enter that in. But yeah, we're now flying over the beautiful Taranaki region, which is just over there. That's Hawera, which is a little town in the Taranaki region. That's the stunning Mount Taranaki mountain. This is very, very remote landscape around here, all steep hill country for sheep and beef farming, and then you've got this massive Wanganui National Park here, which is all like just virtually untouched. When I say untouched, a lot of the some of the timber has been logged, but there's native forest has been logged, but still all native bush, and a lot of it I do believe there's probably areas that have never seen humans' footsteps. But yeah, this part of New Zealand is very like the South Island. This part is like very remote landscape. But we'll get back in and we will... I'm just going to see if I can find Hamilton's if I can manually enter in Hamilton's ATIS, so 28.6. Actually, I wonder if I can enter it in here. Let's see if this works. Not too sure if I'm going to get, if it's just a bit too far out of range, so we'll just swap that over. What I will do is I'll enter in the minimums, and while I'm here I might just enter in our final approach fix, which is going to be 2.5. And the minimums is going to be, I think we're category C, aren't we? So it's going to be 490. And I will wait till I get, I'm going to turn off the weather radar. I actually don't really need it, I don't think. Because in real life I think it does show turbulence, which this one doesn't. But yeah, I think that's all we needed to do really. I'll see if I can increase this sim rate just a little bit more. Right, I'm going to try Hamilton's frequency. Perfect, we've got it. So go ahead and enter in this data array. Perfect, that's really good. And we can now switch back. That actually was pretty good. I haven't really done that before, so it's good to know. You can do that, and now we're just going to enter in our estimated weight when we arrive, so we can get our runway data, so we can figure out how much braking we need. So we are going to be, so basically 63.8 is going to be our landing weight. So medium, yeah, so that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to be using medium brakes for this landing and full flaps configuration. And I guess we can now turn on our landing lights and seatbelt signs. Yeah, we can turn on our landing lights now, so we're all prepared, so we don't forget about that. Just having a look around, everything looks pretty good. We'll just go to TA for this last little bit. I might as well set our QNH to the actual Right, I think we can probably just go ahead and actually, I was going to ump the spoilers, but we don't need to just yet, just in case we need to use them for any particular reason. As we now start slicing through this cloud, we'll hopefully break below it to a nice clear visibility. So we've got our parking brake set to auto 3. Everything looks pretty good. We've set our QNH already. Don't think we need to worry about anti-ice. It's decent. It's pretty, you could say it's pretty warm out there, relatively speaking. And what we are going to do is, we've been cleared for our arrival. We're basically on arrival, so we see these little bars. Basically, the Airbus is basically like an ILS kind of thing, so we're just going to go activate approach, and now it's just going to do its thing, really, like an ILS almost. So we will now go into, we'll put out the spoiler, start peeling that speed back. What I am going to do is I'm going to go into here and just go to normal time compression. And I'm going to turn on the VORs just so we know exactly how far we are from Hamilton. On what appears to be a sort of a low visibility, not a low visibility, but a low cloud day. We're going to start deploying our flaps now. Get those flaps down, get that drag down. And we're pretty much on final approach, really, so we will get that. Actually, we're still 12 nautical miles away. We'll just wait for it to slow down naturally as we fly over the nice green Waikato landscape. We've got Mount Pirongaria just over there in the distance. Not too sure what this mountain is. No, this is Mount Pirongaria here. It's a really nice mountain to climb up. Yeah, we're basically just slowing down now. We can maybe go flaps. Select flaps 2. We'll do sort of European style once we get to below, around about the 7 nautical miles. We can deploy our landing gear. And our go around is going to be 3,000 feet, so now we're below the set altitude. We can now go up to 3,000 feet. And we can now put our landing gear down, get more drag out. We probably can turn off the spoilers and just arm them. And we'll go to our, we can basically go to full flaps now. And yeah, we're all basically configured. We just got to get our speed down a bit, which we'll do naturally. And we're basically all set for our arrival, really, and we can probably just go ahead and go fly it ourselves. So we'll just disconnect the autopilot, disconnect the auto thrusts, pull those back. And yeah, we've been given clearance for landing. And it's just about just keeping this aircraft on profile. I think this is where we go from using our instruments to using our visual approach, so just using our visual clue, which is the puppy there, and just increasing the thrust just a little bit more.
500.
Just above that stall zone, aren't we?
100 above.
And I've been pretty hit and miss with landing the A320, so we'll see if we can nail it. Not literally nail it into the tarmac, but hopefully we can nail our approach in the smooth form of nailing.
50, 40. Return.
Oh, that's still heavy. Doesn't help with the texturing that's not loaded up, which is frustrating. We can disconnect our auto brake. Yeah, that landing, I just find it, maybe it's just because the sim rate, I am on my laptop and it does struggle just a tiny bit there. Right, we can turn off our landing lights, but keep our taxi lights on. And we're going to use this turnaround bay here to do our turnaround. I do hate the tiller sometimes, it's a bit silly sometimes, that the way they've got it. I think I can change it too, but it's just like driving a car really. It's not a case of letting go of the steering wheel and it just goes straight. You have to actually turn the other way to get the wheels back onto that line. But yeah, it wasn't not a bad approach and whatnot coming into Hamilton. It's just the landing's a little bit rough, but it's just, I can raise the flaps while I'm there. It's just getting that sweet spot, but it's also trying to deal with the frame rates and all the rest of it. So we're now going to go to our parking bay, which for some reason is set over there. So it's self parking. That's the parking that it is. Oh, that's quite cool. We've got the Airbus there, the A320. Got a few of these generic aircraft, which I'm not a big fan of. Alright, I think we can turn off our taxi lights and our strobe lights. We can turn off these runway exit lights, and we can now start our turn off the taxiway. And here we are, folks, here in a lovely Hamilton Airport, which is now Hamilton International Airport. And we'll point into the wind, shall we? Not that there is much wind anyway. And just there will do. Not the most smoothest of turning there, but that's fine. And we can now go ahead and... Oh, we forgot to turn on the APU, so we'll just turn that on. But while we're here, we'll just turn off the beacon light and we'll just ask for ground power to be plugged in. And we'll now go into our ground power. Now we can turn off the engines. And we'll turn off the fuel pumps too. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have arrived into Hamilton. I hope you enjoyed the flight, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll get back to you for our return flight back to Christchurch. But for now, I think we'll leave it at that. And we'll see you again next time.